Hey, welcome back to Theologies. I'm Ross. I'm here with Jake Elzey, who's a H-60, F-14, and F-18 pilot, here to assist me with, wait for it, BombOLOgy. That's right. All types of ordnance drop really high up in the sky. Thanks for coming in, Jake.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, so we were talking before before we actually started the podcast. We're talking about all the different types of ordnance that I called in, and it's funny because Jake was actually launching them from his aircraft. How high up were you flying?
Oh, usually about 15,000 feet, depending on the daytime or the nighttime, what the threat was. But that was about the altitudes that we were going at.
Okay, altitudes that you were actually dropping them at, around there, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. We can't
And then
get it.
strafing too. So we did some strafing and some high speed passes too.
Right. That's I actually interviewed a couple of guys, an F-16 pilot's kids who died in Iraq, strafing for Delta, and they actually couldn't pull up in time. So that's pretty dangerous work from what I could tell from talking with them. So what kind of ordnance are we talking about, and what's the difference in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Well, I think when the first time I went into combat was in 2001, flying the F-14 Tomcat. We kicked off Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan in 2001. So the first night of strikes, I was flying the Tomcat. We were flying laser-guided bombs, usually 1,000 pounds, sometimes 5,000 pound. I'm sorry, 500 pound. Guided bomb, laser-guided bombs, guided by us or our wingman.
Okay, I gotcha. And in the Tomcat, that's a two-person crew.
Two-person crew.
Okay.
That's right.
And were you the pilot, or were you the?
I was the pilot, which means I dropped the bomb, and the guy in the back was going to be the one lasing the target and operating the sensor.
Oh.
But then when you get to the single-seat Hornet and Super Hornet, you're doing it all. So you're finding the target, lasing the target, and dropping the bomb and guiding the bomb.
Okay, so your pilot's lasing. I had under the impression the guys on the ground also had a laser, and that bomb could lock on, and then he could guide it from there.
It's either way, depending on the type of support that you're getting. So if you can't see the target, but you've got a proper approximate coordinates, you can drop on the target, and then the guys on the ground can laze, or it's self-lasing from the air. It just depended on the level of air support that was being asked for, or if it was just a strike.
I gotcha.
So when my first strike was on Tora Bora before we knew what Tora Bora was.
Oh my gosh.
It was the night that we thought we had Osama bin Laden cornered in the caves.
I remember,
And so it was B-1s, B-52s, F-15 Strike Eagles, and then it was us coming in with our single bombs.
Oh my gosh.
But we were laying waste to
that area.
Tora Bora.
Yeah, you were making it just a big pancake.
That's right.
Do you remember what province that was? Just out of curiosity, because I was in Tora Bora.
Man, that was 20 years ago.
It was
19.
10 years for me.
2001?
I was in. Oh, sorry. Oh, excuse me. 6. Actually, sorry. That was 14 years for me. I was in. It's 2021 right now. I got out in 11. I was in 2006.
Okay.
So 15 years.
We kicked off the opening night of strikes in 2001.
Oh, right.
So for me, where that was back then, I don't remember. But the last time I was doing strikes in Afghanistan was 2010. But we were all over the place once we were doing that. But I can't remember where Tora Bora is.
Yeah. It's obviously
it's in the northeast
side. Yeah, I was in the Nuristan province. Okay, yeah.
I spent a lot of time over Nuristan as a Super Hornet in 2009 and 10.
A lot of bad guys over there.
A lot of bad guys.
There's Jaybad, Jalalabad taking off from there, Bagram. I don't know where these things are housed. I don't think we can even say it on here, but there's a lot of places that kind of facilitate these, we call in the Army, fast movers. So what is the difference with respect to Afghanistan and the terrain, in Iraq when you're dealing with urban and flat ground open? What is the difference with these bombs, the kinds that you're dropping perhaps, and then the damage that they might do,
Well, generally you're going to use, unless you're trying to blow up a big building and you don't care what's in it, or just blow up the building, you're going to use a 1,000-pound bomb. The standard loadout is going to be a combination of 1,000 and 1,000 pound or 500 pounds, depending on your aircraft, right? So in our aircraft, it was generally 500 pounders.
Right.
And it also depends on the phase of the war. So let's talk about a strike that I had in 2010.
Okay.
When I was a commanding officer flying Super Hornets. We found an IED emplacer And from the aircraft, you can talk to the guys on the ground. So I was talking to some Marine JTACs.
Right.
And they were looking at my picture because I could broadcast what I was looking at
and they
to
could
them.
see it.
They could see it, and they determined what they wanted me to drop, how they wanted me to drop it, and I was dropping a JDAM, so I was GPS guided.
Sure.
And so that's a launch and leave. The bomb is going to guide itself.
Yeah.
But they also wanted to delay fuse so that it would hit the ground, go somewhat underground,
Yeah.
and then explode, which would shrink the collateral damage estimate circle from something that impacts the ground and explodes, which has a much bigger blast radius.
Sure.
And so we were just targeting an IED, improvised explosive device, in placer in the middle of the road, as I could watch him digging out with a shovel a hole to plant an IED.
Right. Why else would you be digging at night, you know?
That's right. Well, they go to sleep at night over there. They're not out partying.
Yeah, very
in
true.
Afghanistan or Iraq, which is why folks who go in at night to do their operations come out okay, because everybody's asleep.
Yeah, exactly. We had so many instances where we come across guys, you know, we'd be set up on a road off the road, and they'd be walking down the street with shovels. Yep. They'd have shovels. It's like, with fresh dirt on it. It's like, dude, take to me, where were you just at? Because there's a bomb on that road now, you know? It's absolutely crazy.
Yep.
The optics, and I won't talk about the optics, but the what you can see from 15,000 feet, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You can see almost like to the detail, you know, like what skin color, depending on if it's night or day, what they're wearing. Correct. You know, that's got to help you out tremendously.
Correct. The AT FLIR, the Advanced Tactical Forward-Looking Infrared, which is what we carried, and this was again 10 years ago.
Sure.
So they have other pods now and improvements to those pods.
Right.
But in the daytime, you could see color. You'd have TV mode or infrared mode, and at night it was, of course, always infrared. And you could change the contrast from white hot to black hot.
Oh, yeah.
So it would reverse the polarity on what you're looking. And one of them usually worked better than the other.
Right, right.
But you could focus in remarkably well. So as I said, I could see very well that he was carrying a shovel. You can sometimes tell if they're carrying an RPG. Sometimes it's difficult to tell if they're carrying a weapon or just a stick.
Yeah, yeah.
But when they're digging, there's no question about what's going on.
Yeah,
There's no reason to dig in the middle of the road. But it took us about 45 minutes to get to the point where the JTAC felt comfortable enough saying, okay, this is hostile intent. And we discovered, and now, so the best part of that story is, my wingman was off at the tanker getting refueled.
Yeah.
While I delivered my 500-pound JDAM.
Right.
He came back. There were actually two enemy targets, one of whom started running down the road. He strafed that target at night and scored a hit. And I've got footage of that, and it's declassified and it's been scrubbed.
Yeah.
But it's some of the best flying I've ever seen in my life. And I've been pushing for that guy to get a distinguished flying cross for a long time. I've been unsuccessful so far, but I will never stop trying to get him a DFC. He knows who he is. If he listens to this, Kenny, you're my guy.
Yeah.
And so
what do they when they strafe them? Is that a Vulcan cannon that they're using? 40 mic? What is
In an F-18, it's a 20 millimeter.
20 millimeter.
The only one that had 30 millimeter is what the A-10 carries.
Oh, okay.
And those are depleted uranium. We have 20 millimeter, but they are explosive bullets. So when they hit the ground, they do explode.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So we've got footage of him rolling in at night on night vision goggles in a dive, delivering unguided ordnance, and scoring a hit while not hitting the adjacent buildings on a street. It was a remarkable piece of airmanship. And it may sound very cold as we talk about this. For those who haven't been in combat and haven't had to do any of this stuff, I'd just like to put out to you that these two targets were they were planting explosive devices to blow up Marines who were patrolling that area.
Yeah.
So they were a clear and present danger threat to the men who were patrolling that area of Afghanistan. And we didn't have any choice, so it's not as if we don't recognize the gravity of what we're doing, but for people that are listening to your program who, as you and I are combat veterans and we talk about these things,
we can talk about it more freely, but people listening might not understand that we take it seriously.
couldn't possibly comprehend what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just something that, this guy knew how to deliver an explosive device that he could operate either manually or remotely and take out Americans. And so those are threats that are far worse than somebody carrying a weapon around.
Absolutely. I'm with you. Yeah, because it's a far mass casualty producing weapon.
Correct.
You're a rotary wing guy too, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I started out in helicopters in the Navy. And then I wasn't good enough at that, so they sent me to jets.
Yeah, right. I'm sure that's exactly how it went. We were in a mission. We were leaving, coming back in an OH-58 Kiowa, clipped a tree or a rock or something, and crashed in the middle of a valley. And we had to go out there. That pod on the top cracked. And if I remember correctly, that pod, if it cracks, there's a bunch of radiation that is expelled, I guess, and the word was that pilot would never be able to fly again. How true is that? Do you know what pod I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've flown the Kiowa.
Okay. Okay.
I did a few. Spent some time at Bell.
Yeah.
Flying the Kiowas. I'm not familiar with what that pod has in it.
Okay.
So that's the first time I've ever heard of. Unless it's got iridium to
iridium.
Okay.
Iridium was in it. Iridium was the word they were using.
Okay. Well, it's not good for you. I don't know how bad it is for you, but that's interesting. I'd never heard of a story like that.
Well, I pulled these guys out, and the bird's on fire. We go up, pull them out, and for some reason in my mind, I thought that this was a 3-man crew. And so I was in there looking for the third man, and these guys, and they're obviously struck, like in shock, Right. And I'm like, where's number 3? They're like, it's just us 2. I'm like, okay, well, it's just y'all 2. So we got them out of there. And we waited all night when they brought in, and they just cut that bird all to pieces and slung-loaded out of there. It was an amazing feat. But either way, I've always wondered about that, though, that there's a lot of things that there's a lot of pieces on that bird that, if exposed, might could endanger you, could make you in the future, grow a horn out of your head, and that's what we thought, at least.
All of those aircraft, including the F-16, which if you lose hydraulic power, it has hydrazine to help you continue to operate the flight controls so that you can either ditch it or land it or whatever. That stuff. There's a lot of toxic. Things
So a
in
crash is never good,
aircraft.
but the residual effects on
That's
it.
right.
Yeah. One more question. Hellfire missile. What do you know about it, and how it's employed?
We carry the Hellfire. It's generally laser guided. There are other ways to guide it. I don't know what the newest technology is.
Sure.
But it was also IR guided, which was not a good seeker. But laser guided is how we generally employed it. My guess is that there are other options with that warhead now.
Yeah.
With GPS capabilities.
Sure.
And other. And I have no knowledge of what the actual capabilities are.
Sure. Well, they were using.
It's a great weapon, especially if you want for a smaller warhead aircraft munition that you don't want high collateral damage.
That's what we were told. It was coming into prominence in 2008. They were using them like crazy, and we were using them on like vehicles, sometimes in houses through the windows.
They're great for moving targets, great for one-room takeouts, or
Exactly.
to take out a couple of rooms of a building without leveling the whole thing.
Exactly.
And nobody really anticipated that we would need them as much as we did, so they stopped producing them years before OEF and OIF kicked off.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So there were limited numbers of Hellfires.
Who
available.
manufactured those? Was it like
Raytheon?
Raytheon? Was it?
I think so.
Was it Raytheon? My sister works for Raytheon.
I think so.
I'll ask her. Man, I really appreciate you coming on today. This has been great. I love talking bombs. I love talking ordnance, and it's always awesome to be in the presence of a pilot that's flown as many missions and done as many things as you has, Jake.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hey, guys, tune in next time. Remember, our Cash App and our Venmo is in our notes, so please give what you can. Don't give it all. Don't give us your mortgage payment, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.